where politics meets common sense. This is Nightcaps with Nate.
Coming to you live from just outside the swamp of the nation's capital. Get ready for invigorating talk, commentary, and debate on the issues affecting your life. Grab your favorite drink. It's Nightcaps with Nate. Now, here's Nate.
Whoops, I didn't have my mic on. Hey, thanks for joining me. It's Nathan with Nightcaps and Nate. I have a very special friend with me tonight. His name is Jasper. He's coming out of the Air Force Base. Which Air Force Base is it?
Scott Air Force Base,
Scott
Illinois.
Air Force Base, Illinois. His spouse is honorably serving our nation. Thank you for your spouse's service. And Jasper here, he's agreed to co-host with me on Monday nights. I'm very proud to have another African-American co-host with me because it provides a different perspective. Jasper, you're originally from Atlanta, right?
Yeah, originally from Atlanta.
In fact, that's...
Suburb.
Yeah, McDonough, which is basically south of Atlanta, right? Down by the airport. And my wife went to high school with him. That's how I found him on Facebook. And was she a good student, be honest?
She was a pretty good student. I mean, you know.
She's good at sports. She's good at running.
She was a cross-country runner.
Mm-hmm. And how long did y'all know each other in school? I mean, how long was she in the school? Because I think her parents got divorced and she moved up to Roswell.
Yeah, well, I left Lovejoy my sophomore year because we moved to Henry County, which is a county adjacent to Clayton County. So I knew her the first couple of years. I knew her as a cross-country runner. A little pretty cross-country runner, used to run around, you know. Sorry, I wasn't checking out your wife, but, you know.
I didn't know her then. In fact, that'd be illegal because by then she's probably 16 and I was 26. So I definitely married up because now I'm 43 and she's 33 and my hair's gone. And you know, she still has hers and she's still pretty and all that. So now, one thing about Jasper I'll tell you is that he is... just like Kareem, we talked a little bit about it with Kareem, but he's black and conservative. He's a libertarian like I am, probably votes the lesser two evils in national elections like I do. Otherwise, we'd all be stuck with Hillary right now. And tell me, man, I've never seen somebody take more abuse for your political views from your own community. When I mean your own community, your own African-American community. Mm-hmm. I mean, my God, dude, how do you do it on a day in, day out basis?
You know, I would say I don't care what other people think. I've been called every name in the book, from Uncle Tom to, you know, white boy's pet to just crazy stuff. Just defending the truth. You know, it's not so much I'm defending a politician or an idea. I'm defending the truth. And it's so easy for people to believe what they want to believe or believe what they're told because they don't want to think for themselves. So I just defend the truth, and I'm just ridiculed and admonished for it all the time.
You are. Now, how did you become conservative? I mean, you know, were your parents conservative? Were you raised Republican?
Oh, no. Both my parents are Democrats. They're still mad at me about not voting for Barack Obama.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was my first job. I had a guy at the church I used to go to, Community Bible there in Henry County. He gave me a job. I was a sign placer. So we place signs for the subdivisions that, you know, the ones directional, say this subdivision this way, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like
we
open
go
house.
out on Friday night. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we go out on Friday nights and we place the signs. And sometimes he'd have Hannity on the radio playing. And I mean, I wasn't really into politics at that time, but I was listening to Hannity. And this is before Hannity kind of where he is now. He wasn't where he is now.
Right.
Say
he
that,
used to be more local, regional guy down there in the South.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
now, was this guy,
what he had to say.
Was he African American too? Was he black?
No,
as
it was
well?
a white guy.
Yeah.
White guy. Yeah,
you just happened to have it on. And you're just listening background, huh?
Yes, he had it on the radio. He loved it. You know, listening to it on the background. I'm like, a lot of the stuff he's saying makes sense. And I start discussing it with the guy, and he started telling me, you know, what, you know, conservatives believe and what liberals believe. And I'm like, well, I'm not liberal. I don't believe that's okay. And, you know, maybe I'm not all the way conservative because I think that's kind of, you know, too lenient, you know, so I'm like, okay. So as time progressed, I got older, you know, I started getting into politics. I love politics. And I start getting into it and start realizing, man, I'm leaning more toward the libertarian movement because, the government doesn't really need to have its hands on so much stuff,
That's right.
and
Right.
yeah,
Sometimes
so
conservatives, especially the Christian right, and I am Christian, don't get me
hmm
wrong, but sometimes what they want is a little theocracy going on, and guess what?
exactly,
That'd be great unless the say Islam takes over 51%, and then we're all having to do
exactly,
Sharia stuff. So you
yes,
got to have true liberty. The founding fathers were really smart about that. When they said freedom of religion, they did mean a little bit that government be free from religion. That's not to say you can't have a prayer to open up Congress and all that. I think that goes too far. But here's one thing I noticed, speaking of religion, is that the most atheist party tends to find religion every 4 years, and they go to the black churches, and they're dancing and stuff because I
oh
was
my
raised
goodness,
Pentecostal, and that's what we did. We were a vibrant group, and you know, my dad was a pastor, and so I went to a lot of mixed race churches and stuff, and even
hmm
even them there though, they'd be staunch, traditional marriage. Now we're talking 80s and 90s when the
hmm
idea that we'd have gay marriage in this country was just unheard of.
yeah,
But the Democrats are still kind of advocating for it and abortion, all that, and even the Christians are just something in the black community, especially with the females. They are just staunch Democrats. More and
yeah,
more males that I'm finding, both in the Hispanic and the black community, some of them are leaning more towards, especially since the days of Trump. It seems like they have that Blexit movement. You've seen that with
yeah,
Candace Owen, and
love it,
and it's a growing movement. There was a poll out that said 24% of black males approve of Trump. So, if that holds true, that's all Trump needs really is to peel off 10% more of the black vote,
hmm
and all the woke socialist justice college white guys, it negates their vote. So,
Yeah, I think where Democrats and liberals get it wrong is the idea of people wanting to be taken care of, people wanting these social programs. And as a man, I know it's 2020, but as a man, men are built to be self-sufficient. We're built to be able to build things on our own. I'm not talking about physically building a house or anything like that, but build your own wealth, build your own family. And a lot of the times, you go into the black community, you see all these programs that kind of um, intimidate people from doing that. You can't, if you make a job, if you have a job but you make this much money, then you won't be able to do this. Or if you're a single mother with 3 children, you'll get into a house faster than if the dad is present and he
yeah.
doesn't have a job, or you know what I'm saying. So it's
You
like,
know why? Now,
yeah,
I'm a
why?
conspiracy theorist here, but I think the most dangerous thing to the Democrat Party is a 2-parent home. Having fathers
I
in the
believe
home
that.
is the most dangerous thing, because if the Democrat Party can say it's not your fault, you're a single mom, we'll take care of you. You get up into our little cradle basket, we're going to take care of you.
Yep.
And to a male, especially in my opinion, and I know this sounds sexist, but really, there's a lot of driven people on both sexes. For instance, affirmative action says, "Hey, you can't make it into college on your own. We need to give you a helping hand." To me that,
Yeah.
while there is a place to make sure that we have a well diverse there's other ways to equal out college by saying, like what George W. Bush did back when he was governor of Texas. Top 10% of every school graduating class gets paid for college in any public university. Then that way it evens it out, not based on race, but just 10% of your peer group in your school, regardless, right?
hmm
And they're always telling you, oh, this affects the minority people, like voter ID. Like you're just too stupid to go get a freaking driver's license.
Yeah.
And what it's really saying, if I was a Hispanic or a black male, is, oh, what are you saying? The white or the Asian guy is smarter than me. He knows how to go get a voter ID. He doesn't need wealth. It's so stupid. And believe me, there's dumb people in every ethnicity. We got all Appalachia. Okay, I was watching this show on Netflix called Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. If you haven't seen it on Netflix, it follows like this crackhead family in the Appalachian Mountains here in West Virginia. Bottom line, I'm a meritocracy kind of guy. I grew up poor as anybody else in Flint, Michigan, and I made it because I went to the military. And they'll say, "Oh, that's socialism." No, that's me. Noticing,
Yeah.
hey, there's not exactly anybody pulling number tabs outside of a recruiting station. They're hiring, and how is it going to be that? So, it was That's kind of where I came to it. I'm glad you're on the show. I'm glad I got Kareem. I am actually meeting with the National Hispanic Republican Party something tomorrow. I forgot the official name. One of their leaders tomorrow, and we may actually have a Hispanic voice on here. It's conservative as well once a week. So that's how I want to build this whole show up, is that, hey, man, the Republican Party's a big tent. People always say, oh, it's the grand old people party and all that, and we have enough white people. That's racist to me. That's why I don't like the Democrat Party, because they're playing racism, whether it's against white people, Asians, whatever. Black people, racism is wrong. And the GOP is a grand old party. Yeah, I'm not a card-carrying member of the Republican Party, but it is, out of the two systems, the one that I align with the most. I wish the Libertarians would win. Or how the socialists are infecting the Democrat Party. Maybe the Libertarian, we can do that. But, yeah, man, thanks for sharing your story with us, man. Let's get into some stories here. This is my favorite part. I love to discuss current events, and I know you do too, because I see you on Facebook. Yes. That's why I was like, man, I got to have him as a guest host. It took a couple weeks. I'm sorry about your family, what you just went through with the death of your family member. But I'm glad that now that that's gone away, that you're back with us. All right, so let me see here. Where did my thing go? It is on the screen. That's the good news. Protesters rally at Pennsylvania Capitol today against Governor Tom Wolf's coronavirus shutdown. We just had that in Michigan. There was one in Kentucky, man. The liberals are going nuts. They are going nuts. I was reading the comments like, oh, they should have to sign a do not resuscitate or a do not care for order if they're going to go out there and spread the virus. But yet, in the epicenter, where New York City is probably 10 to 1 Democrats to Republican, guess what? NYPD ignores crowded Domino Park despite coronavirus restrictions. So, what's good for what's the difference? One is actually saying, hey, we want liberty, and the next one's saying, hey, we just want to hang out in a park. Kind of hypocritical to me.
Well, when you challenge the liberals at any juncture, mostly it's the liberal governors who are implementing these harsh restrictions that aren't even scientifically proven to prevent the spread of the virus at all. To say, oh, if Governor Whitmer in Michigan, oh, you can go into Walmart and buy some food, stay 6 feet apart, you can buy some food, but you can't walk 2 feet over to the clothing rack and get a shirt, or you can't walk into the lawn and garden area and get some seeds, or
things that would keep you home, by the way.
Exactly. It makes no sense. Or can't go to the lake. You can't go to the lake on your boat by yourself, or with your family who you're in the house with all day by yourself.
You could go to the boat as long as it doesn't have an engine on it. Somehow the engine is going to spread coronavirus. So if it's a sailboat or a rowboat, you're fine. Don't get that in any way. If you own a house, like a lot of people in Detroit or Flint or Grand Rapids on the other side, they have cottages, small like hunting cabins way up in northern Michigan, right? And if you're going with your family in your car, you already infected each other if you're infected, right? Mm-hmm. To a cabin in the north, you can't do that. Why? They said, oh,
it makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense. And they'll say, oh, because, the healthcare up there is not as good, or it's going to get overcrowded. Okay, here, sign a thing that says, hey, if I feel like I'm having symptoms, because it's not going to kill you in an hour, then I'll get in my car and I'll drive back down to my Metro Detroit or Flint or Grand Rapids hospital and go there, okay? I mean, absolutely crazy. And I think that the American people, polls show the American people were for this isolation. What they're not for is the Pennsylvania ban on liquor. You can't buy liquor. First of all, if I didn't have liquor, I wouldn't even be as isolated as I have been.
Oh, my gosh.
I am not an alcoholic, but I have drank a little bit more per day doing this show, especially. West Virginia and even Virginia, who has the Democrat governor that did the blackface, or he was either the blackface guy or the guy in the KKK suit. Either way, it was wrong, right?
The Virginia governor.
Yeah, but even he has allowed golfing, because golfing by its nature is a socially isolated sport. You usually the only caveat they said is, stay 6 feet apart. So if you're on the putting green, be 6 feet apart, and each person not in the same household has to have their own cart. That's it. This makes sense. Keeps you away from people, right?
Yeah.
Democrats just don't get it, man. People are willing to give up a little bit of their liberty, and I think even too much of our liberty. But the Democrat governors, man, they went too far. And there was one Republican that kind of went far too, and that was Ohio's Governor DeWine.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, we got to go back to the original purpose of the isolation. The original purpose of the stay-at-home order was to quote unquote flatten the curve, and they wanted to flatten the curve to prevent a run on the hospitals and overwhelming of the hospital system. Now that the country has seen a flattening of the curve and a steady decline of cases, there is no reason for us to continue to remain in this Gestapo-style government-led restrictive environment that we're in.
No.
Open the doors a little bit, let some sunlight in. You don't. Of course, I'm not saying open everything up right now, right away. Business as usual. That's impossible. And one, that logistically that would be crazy. That would be nonsense. And scientifically that wouldn't be smart, because you want to gradually reintroduce people back into the environment, but you got to open the door sometime. You can't just say we're waiting for the infections to be down to zero. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Additionally, if we already know that most people are going to get it, and we're going to get into some slides that show that a lot of people have had it already, and they just didn't know about it. But we should be monitoring how much we let off the floodgates with our capacity at the hospitals. We already know that flattening the curve is not going to keep us from getting it. It's just slowing down who gets it at a time. So we all got to get it to get this herd immunity until we have a vaccine. And we're going to see later in the show where the Swedens, they're doing it totally different than we are. But we should be letting off restrictions as our hospital capacity get taken. I mean, I showed on last weekend on this show, they built a whole freaking hospital for Seattle, and not one patient was put into it. It was an Army temporary hospital. I mean, that's nuts. So obviously, we flattened the curve a lot. We can let up a little bit and get some of these people working again. All right. Next thing, it just really gets my goat, man. I'll tell you what. In fact, I kind of snapped at my wife earlier just because this story got under my skin so much and I try not to let anything get under my skin like that. I'm like, man, come on, it's not that big of a deal, right? This gets under my skin because I've been dealing with Facebook forever here. Let me see here. Let me get it. So Facebook is I've been trying to boost videos and ads and stuff, and because it's about politics, just about politics, they had me send in my license to prove I was American, so I'm not Russian. Got it. They sent me a thing to my house, and I had to type in a code, prove that I really lived here. Got it. Still not good enough. Now they want me to have which I don't have for Nightcaps with Nate. I don't have a website yet with an actual email address, but I have to have both a domain and an email that goes to that domain. What they keep doing is up in the bar. So I can't do any advertising on Facebook whatsoever. Okay? I understand checking my ID, make sure I'm American and all that stuff, but beyond that, why in the hell? So now it's gone even further. So there's always been rumors, there was congressional hearings about whether or not Facebook is biased against conservatives, but now they're saying Facebook is removing promotions for anti-quarantine protests that violate stay-home orders in California, New York, and New Jersey and Nebraska. Facebook announced on Monday that it's removing the information on a site that promotes anti-lockdown protests, like what happened in Pennsylvania today. A spokesman for the company told CNN that it's in discussions with 4 states, well, now 3 because Pennsylvania just had theirs. The CEO and co-founder, Mark Zuckerberg, said Monday that the platform is now classifying anti-quarantine protests as harmful, quote, harmful misinformation. All right? Listen, bottom line, Facebook became a public platform. A judge ruled for the Mall of America in Minneapolis, the largest mall, that there was going to be a protest in it. And I disagreed with this judge because it's an actual physical presence in a shopping center. But there was a protest that was going to happen, and the judge ruled that because Mall of America is so integral to a public space that it became a public space. Now, I disagreed with that. However, Facebook is a virtual public space. It's meant to be a virtual public space, and they are basically censoring free speech.
Yeah, and Facebook is a publicly traded company, so they're bound by all the rules of fairness. You can't be a publicly traded company and a public venue for people that you invite everybody in, but you only allow one avenue of thought to be presented. That's called propaganda. Yeah, you can't be a propaganda machine for the government.
And it would, or for one side of the government, anything that's not Republican or conservative. And then so you'd be like, oh, but there's other platforms. Yeah, Twitter, which is even worse for conservatives, and Google, YouTube. Bottom line is that they say, hey, we have let you guys become little monopolies, all right? Worldwide monopolies. I think it's either A, time to break them up, or they have to sign a code of conduct saying, hey, we will not discriminate. Because
Exactly.
I'm telling you what, as a conservative, if you have anything, they thought, I mean, if Facebook and Twitter were around and loyal to the crown back in the day, we never would have had a revolution. Because they would have called that hate speech, or they would have called that, disinformation. We would never have had them. And you're already seeing them. Another thing that these American companies, including the NBA, need to do, if you're operating in China as an American company, you operate on our ideals. This nonsense that you will censor out free speech because you're operating for money in another country. China's just under my skin. After this coronavirus and all the other crap, stealing intellectual property, I mean, I don't know how any country can even trade with China. Illinois was sneaking behind the president's back and getting PPE from China. Come to find out today, it was all defective.
Yep.
All defective. Wasted
exactly.
$17 million of the taxpayers' money in Illinois. Hey, you know what? Don't feel bad for you, Illinois. Now
well,
the cities.
Illinois, thanks.
Yeah, but you're not really a resident of Illinois, right? You're
yeah, that's true. That's true.
You're a resident of Georgia because you're military. But you know what? Now now Chicago and all these, we're going to see later, Chicago's asking for a bailout in Illinois for all their expensive pensions.
Yeah.
Because of the coronavirus. I'd be like, hell no. You know what? I'll make you a deal. We'll give you a bailout, but you got to sign a pledge never to be a sanctuary city again. But that's a whole other issue. I mean, bottom line, they got to quit censoring, man. And it's killing us.
Got to.
And you talk about censoring. Now, remember, liberalism was founded originally on free speech, Woodstock, all that stuff. It was actually conservatives that were like, hey, no, good order, discipline, right? But the libertarian is kind of like a mix of both liberals and conservatives in a way. Conservative fiscally, allow humans to choose otherwise. But, man, the liberals, the leftists, they have become some censoring people if it goes against them. Mm-hmm. This next thing was in the largest newspaper of the United States, the New York Times, the Gray Lady, the record of choice, Charles M. Blow, says we need to stop, and I've heard this on CNN where in MSNBC where they're cutting away from the president's briefings, right? Stop airing Trump's briefings. The media is allowing disinformation to appear as news. And he's saying that he's just they're scared. They're scared because during this coronavirus, he has the bully pulpit. But guess what? I didn't hear any of this stuff when Clinton was lying about screwing around with Monica Lewinsky. They didn't say, let's pull away from his press briefings or anything. Just because they disagree with it, does not make it disinformation. You can have a certain item, and many people have a different opinion on the truth. For instance, the Bible. If you're a Christian, there's 100 different beliefs on, say, the end times, right? There's all types of different religions. There's 10,000 Protestant religions based on different interpretations of the Bible, but they all believe it to be true. Right? So just because you disagree with it, coming now out of theology back to politics, does not make it disinformation. You know what I'm saying?
And the problem is, I don't think they so much disagree with it, is that they hate the fact that Trump is telling the truth. As you see, if you like me who watch the press briefings and watch the briefings, Trump's not even making the briefings about himself. But every time you read a news article about that day's briefing, Trump says this, Trump says that.
Right.
When 97% of the briefing was medical experts, scientists talking, the vice president talking about the virus, but they only take the 3% of speech that Trump does, the intro, and maybe his answering questions, and then make that all the briefing was about.
Yeah.
And they say, he's lying here,
yeah.
when they're just deliberately giving misinformation and telling falsehoods.
But how dangerous is that? This is the first time in the country, or in my lifetime, or anything I've heard of, where they said, "Hey, you know what? We'll cover what we thought he said. We need to pull away, not cover it live." What they're mad about is that Trump every single day is speaking to the American people directly, and it no longer goes to their filtered view of what is the truth. And we all know that they love 90% of the press is liberal. Yeah, we have Fox News and some talk radio, this show, but we're a small minority compared to ABC, NBC, CBS, Washington Post, New York Times, all these huge conglomerates, right? And they've all their life had been able to, because they didn't have live TV back in the day, but they've always been able to, this is what the Trump administration said today, and it would have been like a partial thing that he may have said, taken totally out of context. It's their narrative. Mm-hmm. Trump bad, Orange Man bad, Democrats are always good. Look what they're doing with the Biden story. Crickets. Yeah. Man, nothing. Kavanaugh, that's all you heard about. Boom, boom, boom. Mm-hmm. Trump, during his first election, that's all you heard about. Grabbing him by the pussy.
Yep.
Biden, crickets. And that's why Trump is so smart as a Republican to actually talk straight to the American people. Now, does he sometimes step on his own pecker? You bet. Pisses me off, especially with his freaking Twitter thumbs, right?
Yeah.
But at least he's talking directly to the American people, and you're getting exactly what he wanted you to know. Mm-hmm. And they hate that, man. They cannot stand the fact that finally a Republican is taking on the press, because for up until Trump, even with Bush's, and even with Reagan a little bit, who was a great communicator, we have always let the press get away with manhandling us. And this is the first time a president said, you know what? We are so tired of you guys.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And I was telling my wife the other day, this is the first time in American history that the American people have a direct link to the presidency. We know exactly, because Trump tells us everything that's going on. We know exactly what's going on. We know exactly how the politicians deal dirty. We know what kind of things they're looking for, because Trump lays it all bare, and they hate it. Because politicians want us to believe that their job is mystical, and they know more than all of us, and they're above all of us. Exactly. But in reality, they're a bunch of idiots. They're all a bunch of idiots looking out for their own district and their own wallets. And Trump is laying that out there for them. That $2.2 trillion bill should have been at most $1.5 trillion. But because the Democrats,
all the pork, yep.
Yeah, all the pork they want to add, things that make it just inconscionable. Inconceivable you would ask for something like that at a time in history where the country is at a complete lockdown and people needed those paychecks and needed that money. You wanted to add things because you know you had the American people by the throat and you held us hostage.
They're doing it again.
Liberal agendas, they're doing it again.
Yeah, you would have thought they learned the first time, bro. They didn't. Now they're doing it with PPP. Yeah. You know, absolutely unconscionable. Crazy. Now these cities that have all these bloated budgets. Oh, by the way, the same cities that hate Trump so much that they sue him at every turn, the same cities that have created sanctuary cities where they're actually literally shielding against federal law people illegally here in this country. Now there's headlines on the screen: Illinois seeks a bailout from Congress for pension in cities. That's New York Times. I'm not talking. This is not coming from the Daily Caller or Fox News. Illinois seeks a bailout from Congress for pensions in cities. Cities may face dire budget choices if they're ignored. Los Angeles city worker shovels asphalt. Garcetti asks Congress and President Trump to bail out the cities. De Blasio, New York City, pleads with Trump for federal bailout. All those bloated liberal budgets, now they're begging the president for a bailout. They're begging Congress for a bailout. You know what I'd say? Either
screw yourself. I would say. I would say it.
Sure. Here's what Governor Snyder of Michigan did. And I'm from Michigan. He had the balls. It got beat up at first, but he saved the city of Detroit by throwing it into bankruptcy. And then he appointed a city manager, right? And he showed them and told them and vetoed anything that was crazy, corrupt spending. And they fixed the city of Detroit. So Trump should say, sure, yeah, but we're going to send in a commission to go over your pensions that are too generous because unions have bought out politicians. Yep. We're going to go over the sanctuary cities where you're paying for. Remember, it was just 3 or 4 months ago that de Blasio and Cuomo of New York both said that they had enough money that they're going to pay for all the health care of every single illegal immigrant. Oh, same with California. Well, guess what? If you got enough money for that, you don't need our money because they're not even supposed to be here. I feel sorry for the immigrant. Don't get me wrong. I've always said it's the employer's fault and it's the Democrats and the Republicans' fault, both because of the Chamber of Commerce turning a blind eye to illegal hiring practices. And they're just coming up here because they know, hey, they're turning a blind eye. I grab a kid, come across the border. It doesn't even have to be mine. Be like, oh, you can't separate my family, and they get through. But guess what? If you got money for bailing them out, in fact, Gavin Newsom just said that he's got, I think, $150 million or $250 million bailout plan for illegal immigrants in his state. Why don't you take that money and give it to LA?
Exactly.
First of all, it was meant to be that the United States was built like the European Union, where you had all these countries that we call states, and they were united loosely into the United States of America. So Germany has its own military, its own constitution, its own police force. Back in the day, UK, when they were part of it, same thing. Ireland, Italy, France, they all had their thing, and that's how we were built. That's why every state has its own constitution, its own military called the National Guard, its own police force, its own licensing. It's until the Supreme Court got it wrong. Marriage was left up to the states, which it shouldn't be. As a libertarian, marriage is a religion thing. Contracts should be recorded. But anyways, I digress. Bottom line, why is the federal government always the piggy bank when it was never meant to be that way? It should be the federal government asking the states to chip in to keep the federal government operating. That's how it was supposed to be. And that was never meant to be for the federal government to be richer than the states. collectively, the 50 states should be richer than the federal government. Am I right or wrong?
Correct. And the Federal Reserve should have never been established. You know, when there was a central bank established in the United States of America, there was such an uproar by the founding fathers and the strict constrictionalists at the time. Those people who believed the Constitution was, you know, you go directly by the Constitution. They're like, the federal government has no business having a source of revenue. Because there was no federal taxes back then.
Right.
The only taxes were done by exactly. So with the Federal Reserve now having so much money that they can bail out the entire country, that puts so much power in the hands of the federal government. Now the states have lost power because they're dependent on the federal government, but yet they want to maintain their sovereignty. But the federal government is not going to let you maintain your sovereignty if they're funding your programs. They're going to dictate your programs.
Every proverb from every religion has something that says that the lender is in charge of the borrower.
Yep.
And guess what? When these states start coming out with their hands open, you've just asked the federal government, a co-sovereign entity, to come into your state's business. Okay? There were certain things that were reserved for the federal government: immigration, monetary policy, currency. Standing army every 2 years, by the way, had to be renewed. Guess what? Everything else was reserved to the states, and it was overreached during the New Deal. The Supreme Court was striking down all these New Deal things. Who was the president? FDR's New Deal, right?
Yeah, FDR's New Deal. New Deal was FDR New Deal.
And later LBJ was just as bad, but the Supreme Court was saying no. Well, FDR had a majority of the Congress, which sets up the court, and they were actually saying, okay, fine, Supreme Courts, we're going to make your court 15 members, and we're going to appoint these, and they're going to override you anyways. And the court, in order to save its credibility, said, fine, we'll be a little more lax. They shouldn't have. They should have stuck to their ground and said, no, the federal government was never designed to be involved with infrastructure projects like that and stuff. Now, we could be. There's a thing called a constitutional amendment. By all means, vote. You know, the majority of the states, 2/3 of the states, they ratify it, boom, we're good to go. But that's not how it was ever meant to be. And, you know, we've let the federal government become the all-powerful entity and the states to be subservient to it, and that's not the intent of the government.
You are in the free speech zone. No safe spaces allowed. Nightcaps with Nate.
All right, now for our next story, we're going to go into our COVID update. COVID-19 update in the background. Nah, I'm not going to. Yeah, I'll play it. A little bit of Walking Dead music. All right, that's enough of that. So, COVID-19. I am so tired of COVID-19. I'm with everybody, but I want to show you the good news because the media lies. The media says, oh, we're number 1 with cases. No, we are not. The United States is number 14. I'll show you that in a minute here. We are number 14th per capita. United States isn't testing enough. Yes, they're probably not testing enough, but we are still doing better than the UK and France, for example, on testing per million people. You know, Trump bad, Orange Man bad, anything that they could say. So if you look at this chart here, you will see that the daily new cases has peaked, and you can see by the oval there that it's actually slightly going down. Now, the daily new cases are going to continue to rise. Why? Because we're testing more people. More people, more daily cases, okay? That does not necessarily mean a bad thing. Now let's look at the deaths. The deaths are also slightly declining, not as fast as I'd hope, but the reason why? Well, because the CDC's new guideline says that if you even think that somebody died related to COVID-19, you got to classify as such. Have you noticed there's no cancer deaths now? There's no
That's ridiculous.
There's no heart attack deaths and stuff. They're classifying everything as, oh, it's COVID-19. There's some memes out there like, poor guy got ran over by a car. COVID-19 got him, right? Coronavirus got him. It is totally ridiculous. So, of course, those numbers aren't going to go down. I'll tell you in truth, if they showed the hospitalization rates every day, you would see that we are on the big-time down curve right now because hospitalizations are way down.
And most of us have already had some form of COVID-19. Maybe not this strain, but we've had some form of COVID-19. The COVID-19 is not new. It's not a new virus.
19 is.
19 is a new virus. I'm talking. Coronavirus is not a new virus. It's been around for forever.
Yeah, the common cold.
COVID-19, exactly. So the people more susceptible are always going to be susceptible to these types of viruses. Any virus, influenza B, H1N1, SARS. Back then with SARS, any type of respiratory virus is going to be more dangerous for elderly and more dangerous for people who have immunodeficiency diseases. So that's natural.
Yeah.
What they're concerned about is, like I said earlier, the run on the hospitals. We didn't want everybody to get it at once, because then medical professionals would overwhelm. People would have literally been dying in the hallways and in the streets because there wouldn't have been enough people to take care of them. Right now, we don't have that problem. Right now, we see that the initial concern for the infections and the death rate were unwarranted. We're not even close. The projections were not even close. And people say, oh, well, because we were quarantined. No, the projections had quarantine already built into them.
Yeah, they were just
wrong. That's what you realize. Yeah, they were just wrong. Well, all those 2.2 million deaths that they predicted already had the entire nation in quarantine. They still said we would still have 2.2 million deaths, even with everybody in quarantine.
And then it was 200,000. And then it was 80. Yep. And then on Saturday, I showed that they've revised it again down to 60 flat.
Yes.
And probably go down even more than that. Bottom line, all that Mercy Hospital that they so desperately needed admitted 20 patients, none of them coronavirus. It was a big waste of money. It was a big crybaby. Orange man bad, not enough ventilators. If Trump was damned if he did, damned if he didn't, man. If he would have said, hey, no, I'm not sending them all up there because my experts are saying you're probably not going to need them. Of course, Dr. Fauci would have been out there wrong again. By the way, Dr. Fauci liked the guy. I'm sure he's not meaning to, but he's been such a Washington bureaucrat and working for the government so long, probably hasn't practiced medicine forever. What has he been right on?
Nothing.
The liberals always like, oh, tell Trump to shut up. We want to hear from Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci. But Dr. Fauci's been right about nothing so far. Everything has been way overblown.
February 14th, he was out there saying coronavirus will not be a major threat to the United States. Dr. Fauci was saying coronavirus will not be a major threat in the United States. Right. February 4th, what did Trump say? 2 weeks before, what did Trump say in the State of the Union address? State of the Union address, he said, if coronavirus is a threat, we're going to get all the resources we can to combat this virus to make sure it doesn't become a problem for the United States. They said, oh, well, Trump was saying it was a hoax from the beginning. Trump never called the virus a hoax, and I want to get that out there. He called the media sensationalism of the virus a hoax.
Exactly.
The
Democrats will say my response to it, that's my next hoax that they're going to hang around my throat. Hey, you got to stop, man. Pretty soon they're going to demand this be nightcaps with Jasper, okay?
I'm sorry.
You're too good, man. You're too good. Make me look bad. No, I just played. Next slide, man. So, this right here, I always sort it by deaths. I wish they had a tab on here for hospitalizations, but if you look, it's deadly to be in a blue state. Should we just quarantine the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic blue states? Because out of the top 15 states, only 2 are led by Republican governors, and Maryland is an anomaly because somehow this governor actually won 2 terms, but it is a very Democratic state with very super majorities for their House and Senate. But Indiana was the only one that made the top 15. So New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, you fell to number 6. You shouldn't have ever been in the top 10. You're like a peninsula on your own. Like you're like jutted away from everybody. You talk about social distancing. You got Great Lakes surrounding you. District of Columbia, that whole Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, where they just had the thing, Illinois, Maryland, Washington, Indiana down at number 13, Colorado 14, Delaware 15th. By the way, for all my Georgia fans, they were number 16th. Okay, now, were the blue states just less prepared? Why have they had a bigger thing? You can't say it's just people. Besides New York, where you have New York City because everybody's living on each other, and maybe Chicago, Illinois. But even then, they don't really have an excuse because California has more metro areas than all of them. California has the San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland metro area, which is like this huge metro area. They have Los Angeles metro area, and they're number 29th. Were those blue states just like ill-prepared? And we already know about de Blasio auctioning off the ventilators he had on stock 5 years ago. Were they just ill-prepared or what? What's going on there?
Poor allocation of resources, I believe. I believe it's a poor allocation of resources. When you go into the Democratic states, you go into their budgets. Their budgets are centered around social programs, not so much medical prevention. So they'll have plenty of money in their welfare programs, but not enough money funding their hospitals, not enough money funding medical equipment and medical devices. And then when the crap hits the fan, they have their hands out to the federal government like they do now. Hey, we need help. Why aren't you helping us? Why aren't you helping us? Why aren't you helping us? And if you look at the states, these states that are impacted, look at their tax rates on their people, how high their taxes are. They should have plenty of money in their coffers to purchase these medical equipment.
And I already have it on hand. Yeah, and in fact, to be fair, I have it in here, USA Total. We'll just go with the top states that are above the national average. That way we have some sort of baseline. Hey, you know what? If you're below the national average or at national average, you're fine. But if you're above it, shame on you. So that's Rhode Island, District of Columbia, Michigan, Massachusetts, Louisiana, Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. New Jersey and New York, I should say. All right. So the average deaths per million in the United States is 128. New York City is at 965. Got it? If you've ever been to New York City, they live on top of each other. But New Jersey, you have no excuse to be 4 times the national average. Connecticut, you have no excuse to be 3 times the national average. Louisiana, you have no excuse to be double. Same with Michigan. Michigan's exactly twice the national average. And then the media is pumping this governor up as if she's some hero. That's not heroic. There's nothing heroic about being ill-prepared. And then these same Democrats want to blast the United States and their lack of preparedness. But if you look at worldwide numbers, we're number 14, baby. Okay? And we're one of the most traveled to nations. In fact, we were lied to by the WHO and China, saying that this couldn't be transmitted person to person.
Oh.
And guess what? 40,000 people from Wuhan alone, not to mention the rest of China, had flown over here. In fact, that's why I believe that a lot of us have antibodies, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the USA is back to number 14th in the world in deaths per million. And yes, we're 41st in the world for tests per million out of hundreds of countries. But we're still ahead of France, UK, Finland, South Korea, Netherlands, Sweden, Japan, these major economies. So we're not doing that bad on testing. Bottom line, this is a big-ass media overhype.
Yes.
And it was only for one thing. It was to slow the economy so that President Trump didn't have a chance to win. But guess what? The American people are now smarter than that. I believe. And the only prayer they had in 2016 to beating Trump and in 2020 was Bernie Sanders, because he's a populist just like the president is. And guess what? Both times the Democrats have ruined it for you. Now you're stuck with dementia Joe Biden. That guy, he's something else. Creepy, and demented. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you talk about, how they wanted to stop the economy, just really quick on that. The stock market dropped all the way down to 17,000 at one point. Yeah. It's back up to 23,000. And today was a down day. It is at 23,650 today. The all-time high was 29,000. We're 6,000 points from the all-time high that we were back in February. That's how resilient our economy is.
Not just that. And it took 3 years and a pandemic to shut down, literally the first time in our history, shut down an entire economy, make us all stay home. Yeah. Shut down businesses so we could drop the stock market down to Obama's levels. I mean, bottom line. And guess what? We're back. If you compare it to November 2016, we're way up high. And we're going through a pandemic and we're still doing better. Now we haven't got all the unemployment yet, but I think unemployment's going to jump right back up as soon as we open. I mean, it's not a structural recession like the markets, with the exception of oil, which is going to take time to work out the glut of oil. Besides that, the energy sector, we're going to be just fine. The service sector is going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Thanks to Trump and his leadership in that PPP, the Payroll Protection Act. That was smart, because what he's doing is he's keeping businesses open so that they're ready to resume. And then everybody got that stimulus, so they're ready to spend, and it's hopefully going to ignite the economy back going. Now, I will say, I will be the first conservative to say, hey, now that we've done all this spending, Democrats got their little wet dream. It is time to rein in spending for a while and get us back into territory that's sustainable for the long term.
Well, don't tell Nancy Pelosi that, because she's looking for another $2 trillion for another stimulus package.
Yeah, that's because she didn't get all the pet projects that she wanted last time. So
that's crazy.
Next graphic here. Will your state open soon? Vermont, West Virginia, Montana, Hawaii could safely start easing coronavirus restrictions on May 4th, but New York and New Jersey will have to wait until June. New research finds. I have going to put it on this thing here, and I'm going to leave it up for a second on purpose, so don't think, please don't be putting in my comments, Nate, can't see your face. I'm doing this on purpose, so that you can actually look for your state, look at the threshold date, and see when you think or when they think you can reopen. I guarantee you this, though. If you are a tourist state, I don't care if it says June 8th or later, you're opening up before Memorial Day. I guarantee it. Mm. All right, and it scares me a little bit because we're going to spike. Not because I'm scared that we're going to die, and I'm no longer worried about the overcapacity of the hospitals, because we already have the infrastructure and they're already at the stockpile now, all these new ventilators and stuff. But I'm worried about the news media saying, see, told you so. Oh, the liberals said we should be locked down for a year. First of all, nobody could stand being locked down for a year. We're all going stir crazy. Second, that's not how we operate. And third, once all this antibody testing comes through, we're gonna find that a lot of us have already had this thing, and it's no more deadlier than the flu. Now, just because something new is no more deadlier than the flu didn't mean that it couldn't override our hospitals. Our hospitals are built for a certain amount of flu peak, and yes, it would have still overrode our hospitals having 2 flus. Yes, we already have A and B, and that's already counted in the total seasonal influenza number. But then we have the coronavirus, which adds double the capacity, so got it. But it's not enough to where anymore we need to shut down our government. Now we know what's out there. Build capacity over the summertime. Hospitals gear up. That's what private hospitals are all about, making money any damn way, right? It's coming back probably, maybe not as bad, maybe as bad, we don't know, next fall until we get a vaccine. And oh, by the way, the coronavirus is very hard to find a vaccine about. I don't know, all this optimism is a little bit crazy because the coronavirus mutates. So a vaccine might be seasonal just like the flu. We might be getting a flu jab in this arm and a coronavirus in this arm. We don't know. But either way, we know that there's something out there and we need to be careful. And that's it, man. Well, eventually, this thing's going to fizzle out. Our bodies are going to adapt. Most of us, 99.99%, are literally going to live from this thing. Might suck while you're sick. It sucks while you have the flu, but, you know.
Yeah, nothing's, interjecting my religious belief. Nothing's going to kill you that's not meant to kill you. So you're not going to die for something you're not meant to die from. So if you get sick from the flu, if you get hit by a car, something like that, I mean, you're going to die. It was your time to go. I know that sounds callous, but that's just reality of life.
It's fatalistic for sure, yes.
Yeah. So coronavirus, I mean, I don't want anybody to die from it. I don't want any of my family to die from it. I don't want anybody to get it if they could have prevented getting it. However, you can't shut down an entire, and like Trump says, people say, oh, you just want to open the economy because you want to look out for businesses. No, you want to open the economy because you want to save lives. People don't see the silent deaths that go along with the closed down economy.
Suicide, depression.
Suicide. Exactly. Somebody who's been working for 17 years for a company, been able to provide food for their family, and all of a sudden that paycheck's gone. Yeah. Where does that leave somebody mentally?
Homelessness. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play here. And he said it best weeks ago. The cure cannot be bigger than the problem. It just can't.
Exactly.
I had a nurse, and women. Now I know this sounds sexist. Sorry, ladies out there, but y'all kind of think with your heart. That's why you tend to vote liberal more, and men kind of think with their head. I know it sounds horrible. Not all. I'm saying. I'll just use me and my wife. My wife tends to think more with her heart, right? Oh, a little squirrel comes across the screen. Oh, it's cute. I'm thinking of ways to go kill that thing and chop it for dinner, right? And I had a nurse say, oh, but one death is too many. I said, yes, we should always go for 0 deaths, but we don't shut down entire economies for 1 death or 60,000 deaths, okay? We don't stop driving because, so many people die in a car accident. This is actually going to prove to be less. There are up to 90,000 accidental deaths in hospitals per year, okay? But we don't stop going to the hospital, right? We try to find ways to mitigate. That's what mitigation's all about. Moving on. So, this is what I was talking about. We already know that we're going to start doing some antibody testing. Not everybody's going to get tested. It's going to be like polling. They're going to take a sample, and then they're going to statistically sample it and make it represent the whole entire community. Already started happening. Coronavirus antibody testing shows LA County outbreak is up to 55 times bigger than reported cases. What? You mean for every reported cases, there's been 55 other ones that either had mild symptoms or asymptomatic? The COVID-19 outbreak in Los Angeles County could be up to 55 times bigger than the number of confirmed cases, according to research from it must be Liberty University or Hillsdale, some conservative wacko college, right? Oh, wait, no. UCLA or USC. I'm sorry, University of Southern California.
No. Hide the data.
Yep. The data is correct. If correct, would mean that the county's fatality rate is lower than originally thought? With just 4% of the population infected with the disease, LA County is still very early in the epidemic. But what does it say? Hey, live life. Oh, but that's just LA County. Let's see what happens up in Santa Clara County. LiveScience.com, way more people may have gotten coronavirus than we thought. Between 50 and 85 times as many people in Santa Clara County have coronavirus antibodies and have tested positive for the virus. That makes, in both those counties, that makes the death rate to be about 0.1 to 0.2% of 1%, that's the death rate of flu. Okay. So that must be crazy, man. That's just West Coast stuff. They have different climate.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, up in Massachusetts, 1/3 of participants, 33% of people who they randomly drew blood from, a little prick of blood, 33% have tested positive for the antibodies, meaning that most of them were infected and didn't even know it. So that's West Coast, East Coast. Now they're like, man, no way. So now New York has decided, you know what? That's a good idea. So they're launching antibody testing for 3,000 people randomly selected at grocery stores to get a snapshot of how much of the population had COVID-19, now they're going to question the accuracy. But how accurate will it be? Can't have that, man. We're going to find something wrong with this thing, just like they've already started beating up the Santa Clara study, so much that the University of Santa Clara is now having to release an appendix so that they can cite all their sources and all that stuff. If Trump comes out right on this, he better come out. Usually I'm like, dude, quit bloviating. But this is the place you say, I told you so. Listen to the man, okay? I might overstep my bounds sometimes, but guess what? I have experts all around me.
Exactly.
You know? So then this leads to my next thing. The Swedish epidemiologist Johan Gesecki, a world-renowned epidemiologist, by the way, has been advising, one of his students has been advising the Swedish government, and they decided not to lock down. And their death rate is no more than the average of everybody else's. Their case rate, no more than the average of everybody else's. They've just been, the only thing they did was they canceled the schools. Kids are like germ factories, man. If you want to get sick, get it. If you want to get sick, make sure you have a kid in your home and that they're going to public schools because you're going to get whatever's going around, right? Yeah. So they did do that. But besides that, it says UK policy on lockdown and other European countries are not evidence-based, is what this epidemiologist said. He said, hey, we're overreacting. The correct policy, he says, is to protect the old and the frail only. In other words, people with heart conditions, COPD, they should be staying home. Not everybody. Because if you have people out there, it will eventually lead to herd immunity as a byproduct, assuming that we do catch immunity in almost every virus we do. Yes, you might even have to get sick twice, but you'll get some sort of immunity, at least, if anything, for a month or two, enough to where it fizzles the virus out. The Imperial College paper that everybody based all of their policy on was not very good, quote, and unquote, and he has never seen an unpublished paper have so much policy impact. The paper was very too much pessimistic. This goes back to what you were saying, Jasper, about the 2.2 million deaths that we were supposed to have, right? Any such models are a dubious basis for public policy anyways, he says. You shouldn't be depending just on single models. The flattening of the curve is actually due to the most vulnerable dying first as much as the lockdown. In other words, we're flattening the curve because those that were predisposed to die from it have already died. Quit laughing, Jasper. That's Matt. What kind of heartless conservative are you? All right. The results
it's a libertarian coming out of me.
The results will eventually be similar for all the countries involved. COVID-19 is actually a mild disease and similar to the flu, and it was the novelty of the disease that scared people. Yes, you're going to get people like, well, there was a 5-year-old that died today. Yeah, that's a 5-year-old across the entire 335 million. Sad, believe me. But there's more kids dying of cancer than from COVID, period.
Yes.
The actual fatality rate of COVID-19 is in the region of 0.1%. Remember, this is not some quackhead. This is a world-renowned Swedish epidemiologist. Okay, you can look him up. He is world-renowned. And finally, at least 50% of the population of both the UK and Sweden will be shown to have already had the disease when mass antibody testing becomes available at that time. We already saw up in Massachusetts, 1/3 have already had it. At least 5 or 6% of California has already had it. At least that's of what we know about it. Guys, go about your daily life. Protect the vulnerable. If you have somebody sick in your home, even when we come off this lockdown, and guess what? Money will prevail because guess what? Without money, this is what you liberals, I'm going to look right in the camera and tell you, liberals, if you want socialism someday and somehow you get a super majority, you're going to need tax money to have that socialism. And if we stay locked down, we're not going to even be able to do socialism even if we wanted to as a country. Period. You got to have tax dollars coming in. The idea that we just print a $1 trillion coin, that's a pipe dream. That's called hyperinflation. Never going to happen. And if you don't believe me, look at Venezuela. All right? Pick or choose your battles, guys. Pick or choose your battles.
My last point I want to make is a lot of the arguments, when you start to make sense of people and you start to make valid points to people, they always come at you with a tragic story. Like you said, the 5-year-old died, or, this person died. And, are you okay with your aunt getting coronavirus and passing away? I'm like, no, I don't want anybody to die. We're not saying we want people to die. We're saying that death, unfortunately, cannot be prevented. No matter what you do,
only
it
delayed.
cannot be prevented.
It can only be delayed.
Exactly.
Maybe delayed.
Exactly. What you can prevent is a total collapse of the economic system that this country runs on, that the world runs on.
Yes. Let's just think about it in our primal days. Since the left, rightfully so, they love evolution. But guess what? During the Spanish flu, when people were farming, somebody was out there farming still. Otherwise, your whole family died of starvation. It's no different to this day. Just because we don't get all of our value from farm goods, we still have to produce. We still have to keep the trade going. Okay? Somebody still has to go to the store or to the factory and make your toilet paper that we've been out of. All right? Bottom line, the economy still has to go on, and we cannot overreact just because the media wants to play politics against our president. Guaranteed this would not be the same reaction if President Obama was over the H1N1. And they gave him all the leeway in the world. More kids died from H1N1 than have died from this. This is largely an old person disease. And unfortunately, death is going to happen. And liberals do. They like to bring it down to the minor level. When we're discussing policy for 335 million people or 7.2 billion people in the world, you can't go down to the individual. I always say, I'd say, hey, it's better to have two parents in your home. Okay? I'm divorced, so, I'm not being a hypocrite, but I think divorce is harmful for children overall. Okay? Yes, not all kids are going to be affected by it. Some kids are happy the parents got divorced. But overall, it's harmful for kids. Not all smokers are going to get lung cancer. But we know enough about cigarettes to say, hey, I probably shouldn't get my kids addicted to cigarettes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on here. We're actually going to get cut off here in a second. Hopefully you're here every single Monday. Obviously there's going to be some times where we're on vacations and stuff and we won't have the show, but man, it has been awesome to get your perspective. Hopefully the viewers didn't like you more than me. Otherwise they're going to have you. I'll be your guest host on Mondays, so hey man,
thank you very much.
Thanks for joining me tonight.
This has been Nightcaps with Nate. Please join Nate for a nightcap every weeknight at 9 Eastern here on Facebook Live.